Talking to Chairman John Conyers, Chairman of the Judiciary Committee. And John, we were talking about various things that are going on and whether or not there's going to be cooperation in order to move forward. We have a national debt now. I'm reading this from your paper here, of $13.7 trillion. Now, a lot of people say that, you know, we've got to handle this and reduce the debt and reduce the deficit, which is over $1 trillion now. Where can the cuts come? I know that that people have, in the Republican Party, people have said they've got to cut the deficit. They've got to redress this whole question of our national debt. How can they do this? Where are the cuts coming?
You've put your finger on one of the most important differences of opinion about how we get out of the economic malaise that we're in and have been in for the last couple of years. And that is where do we go from here with the deficit and the national debt both getting larger? Now, there are two schools of economic thought. The first is, of course, you've got to start cutting back and narrowing the government down. Well, in a way, there's a school of political thought that says we want smaller government, not bigger government. You hear that all the time. Well, we want more efficient government. The problem with wanting smaller government is that the people that are most in need, or the institutions and programs that need the money more than anyone else, they're usually the ones that don't have lobbyists.
And they're the ones that get cut first.
They're the ones that get cut first. Exactly. So therein lies the problem. Now, the other school of economists say that if you're coming out of a national recession, that you shouldn't worry about the deficit. You got to get the country on its feet. You got to deal with unemployment. You got to create jobs. You got to stop home foreclosures, and so you may have to spend more to get up to where you ought to be, and then you can worry about the debt.
Well, you know, one thing I think that has been a problem for the Democrats is the question of communication. I don't think that really, whether it be President Obama or many of his people, have been able to communicate to the people, not the term foreclosure, but that means throwing people out of a house. It means tearing a family apart. Right. And when you say foreclosure, what does it really conjure up in your mind?
It sounds like a legal term.
That's right.
Like you use in courts.
And then this whole thing about TARP. The average person doesn't know what a TARP is. TARP is something you put over a baseball field or something when it rains.
And stimulus. What does that mean?
So that's the thing. I think that the public has really been confused over these things. And it's a question as to whether or not we address the needs of people, or that we address the needs of political people who want to get in control of what is happening in this country.
Well, very well said, because we've just come out of some honest discussions inside our caucus in which we've been trying to analyze what happened. There were members that were stunned. We lost members, the chairman of the Armed Services Committee being defeated. That's astounding. And there were other members that lost, and some very prominent members that nearly lost. They barely got reelected. And so what we're doing in our analysis, I think, could be described in what you've just said. We failed on the messaging. We didn't get our story across. We weren't able to get our point of view in, and people, sometimes against their own self-interest, voted and supported measures that were not in that they should have been against, and they were against measures that they should have been for.
Where really can the cuts come from? Social Security?
I don't think so. No.
Medicare? These are two of the largest drains upon our federal debt, are they not?
Yeah, but when you talk about either one of these, you're talking about cutting. Well, the debt commission is up to that now. They're saying we've got to raise the age of eligibility in Social Security by at least a couple years before you can begin to enjoy the benefits. And there are people saying that we have to tighten our belts on providing health care because it's such an expensive item. Now, that plays right into the hands of the health insurance companies and the people, the for-profit health organizations, because there's a huge amount of money being made in health care, and whenever they want to increase their profits, or they see an opportunity, they find that, well, yes, Lester Wolf has been paying for health insurance for many years, but we now think that he had a pre-existing condition, and so we are not going to pay for these health costs that he's now incurring. As a matter of fact, we're going to discontinue his policy.
What do you forecast on the legal challenges that are being made to the so-called Obamacare? Do you think they will be successful? Are they valid?
It's already clear to conservative members that trying to find this unconstitutional is not going to work. But they have another plan B to fall back on, and that is that we can fail to appropriate the money needed for the health care reform to work. And if you don't fund it, it dies anyway. You don't need a court ruling. And that's what I think they're going to pepper us with: hearings, investigations, subpoenaing members of the White House. They've said some awful things about President Obama that, well, they're not only just untrue, but they're really unfair.
Do you think that Obama has performed in what he campaigned on?
Not adequately, no. And I'd like to talk with you about that.
Well, we'll talk to you about it right after this break.
Very good.